Hello friends, welcome back. First part of preprocessor we have already discussed. This is the second part which I am taking up to discuss with you. Remember, we had all the four types of preprocessor that I had discussed with you. The four types, that was file inclusion, then macros, then conditional compilation, and of course other directives. So the first two we had discussed. Let's pick up the second, third, and the fourth one. That is the last two. All right. Let's start with the third one, that is conditional compilation. Very important. Why? Because parts of your program, the program which you have written, parts of the program you can enable or disable depending on a condition. What does that mean? That simply means that part which you want or which based on a condition, if the condition is true, will go to the compiler. Otherwise, one part, an entire part of a program you can avoid. You can say no, this part will not go to the compiler, rather this part will go to the compiler. So that is what. Now for conditional compilation, the constructs that we use is has if, we use has else, has and if. Got it? Has, if, def to check whether something is defined or not. Has, if, and def to check if it is not defined, that way the negative way. So all these checkings, all these constructs will be used in case of conditional. Of course, the construct, like, if you remember, we have if, else, that kind of same way it is used. End if denotes the end of if. Remember that. For each if there should be an end if. Got it? So let's start with it. Okay, how to use it based on a condition. Let's look at this particular slide. Okay, this is an example of how exactly it is used. Look at the example. It says, enter two numbers, then it accepts a number from the user through scanf, accepts both the numbers from the user through scanf. Then look at that condition, has if 5 greater than 10. Okay, now 5 greater than 10, directly checking it inside a program is not possible at all. You can't do that. In a program, you can directly say 5 greater than 10, but here it is possible. 5 greater than 10, both are constants. It will check. 5 greater than 10 will return what? False. So obviously, the part that is the else part, the condition, control goes into. That simply means if you look at the entire code, the if part has a printf statement, has if part, the has else part, till that has end if, that entire code goes to the compiler, that is given to the compiler. So hope you are clear about this particular piece of code. Now let's see what the compiler will see. This is what is your expanded source code. This is how it will look like. Your compiler will see this particular thing. Got it? Now look at the code. You will find lines 7, 8, 9. They are not there. Okay, all these lines of code, they are not available over there. All right. Got this? I hope. Clear with this particular example. Okay. Now using has if, has else. Similarly, you can also use other constructs like if, def, and if and def. Okay, let's look at this particular example. This example will show you how they are used. Okay, look at the slide. Look at the definition. It says has defined max. Max is a constant over there which is defined already, and it is checking for that. If it is defined, it prints hello. If it is not defined, I'm sorry, it will not. That printf statement will go to the compiler if it is defined. Okay, if it is not defined, the printf statement does not go to the compiler. Okay. Uh, so that has if def max printf hello, has else printf word. So which part goes to the compiler? The part containing the else or the part containing the if, depending on whether max is defined or not. Here max is defined, so the control goes for the part containing the printf hello, because has if def max holds true. Similarly, go to the next part where you see has if endef. What endef checks for? If it is not defined. It's true here. Endef will check and see mean is not defined. So what it will do? It will go for fox or quick. It will obviously go for fox. Got it? Saw the slide? So now just imagine anything, any part. I'll give you a very simple example again. You have already seen this. As defined, you say sum. You don't have to even give a value. Okay? As if def some pieces of code. Now what happens? Simply it checks if sum is defined, then the code, this particular part of the code is taken up by the compiler. Compiler takes them. Got it? So this is conditional compilation for you. In short, to be more precise, you can get lots of examples about this, but be careful with things like this. For example, I can do this with has if. Some of the limitations are there, like with has if. Suppose I go for this. This is something which you need to take care of. As define val, let's say val 6.8. Got it? And I say as if val equal to something, or let's say greater than something, greater than 5.0. This is never allowed in case of preprocessor. Preprocessor can only deal with integer constants. It will not be able to deal with floating point or double type constants. Here it's a double type constant which we have given normally. Alright, so be careful about this. Be careful about this kind of constants. Got this, I hope? Okay, so conditional compilation, I gave you a couple of examples about conditional compilation, how it takes place. Parts of the code depending on condition will either be compiled or not compiled. This helps you manage. This helps you manage the entire code in a proper way. Understand that. And one more thing, if you are looking at a code is becoming parts of the code, you want, okay, this part, my condition is this. You can just these parts you can easily put them into single blocks and put them below each other with has if, has else, like that, has and if. Got it? That way you can manage it. All right, hope you got this. Okay, now let's go for miscellaneous directives. Miscellaneous directives or other directives. Okay, I told you, 4 types. This is the last one, miscellaneous directives or other directives. Okay, let's get into it. The first one we are going to discuss is pragma. This is something very important, remember. Okay, now pragma, or rather to say Haspragma helps you add compiler specific features in a program. Your program can have compiler specific features using Haspragma. Now these features, remember one thing, this is again important, these features are entirely compiler dependent. Okay, so on those compilers where these features work, they will be automatically switched on and they will function, those what do you say, features. But in case in a particular compiler, on a particular compiler, the particular what do you say, feature is not available, then it will be automatically disabled. It will never show you an error or warning message. Remember that. Is that clear? Got it? So let's go on with it. Okay. Now Haspragma is used for many things. Okay. Let's start with two of the features, two of the facilities with Haspragma. One is, normally what happens when we execute a program, it starts executing from main function, isn't it? A particular program. Let's say I have a program myp.c. Okay. When I execute myp.c, whatever code is there inside will get executed. But what if I want to execute some other piece of code before I execute myp.c? And similarly, I want to execute some piece of code after I execute myp.c. Just think of it. What happens over there? At the start, before myp.c is executed, I can execute a piece of code. After myp.c is executed, I can execute a piece of code. That is very much possible and that can be done. Okay, using what I said before I start. Now start. I have some code. Then I have myp.c which will be executed. Then end I have some code. Got it? Clear with this? So what is this? This is called startup code and this is called exit code. And Pragma allows you to have startup code and exit code in a particular program. Let's have a look at this. This particular slide will tell you. Look at the slide. Two functions are there, myFirst and myLast. Haspragma startup myFirst, Haspragma startup, Haspragma exit myLast. Then you have your main program, that is just printing a message. Got it? After the program gets executed, after it is over, okay, it has those two functions. Look at them, myFirst and myLast. But what will be the order of execution? At entry, since I have written Haspragma startup first, at entry it will execute myFirst. At exit, it will execute myLast. That means in between it will execute my program. Got the example? It's a very, very simple example of how this Pragma works. Got it? Clear with this? Okay, with this? Now, with Pragma, I told you there are compiler specific features, and Pragma is very important. To make your program more flexible, to make your program more acceptable, Pragma is extremely important. Apart from that, Haspragma, you have something called one. Now, one is to, you can switch up or switch on warnings. Sometimes suppose, I'll give you a simple example. I have got a variable in a program, integer x, and I don't use it. It is there, it is defined inside the program, but I don't use the variable. What happens there? It will, at the end, when you compile, you will find in most of the compilers it will give a warning saying x is never used. Clear? Similarly, some code is there some part of the code is there which can never be executed. That is called unreachable code. You must have encountered that at places. That kind of warning. Again, when you compile, it gives a warning saying unreachable code. I want to shrug up these all warnings. I want to, hide them. I don't want to show those warnings. What can I do? Simple. With one, that particular warning with a minus option or plus option, you can either turn it off or turn it on. Normally it is turned on. You want to turn it off, go for a minus. Minus something like suppose say ER. ER is for a particular warning message. There is a list of all those warning messages. You can get it from the net. It's a long list. It's a long list, and of course it differs from compiler to compiler. So you can always get that list of all those warning messages. Want to disable? You are for sure it is there in your program. This kind of warning message and 5 different variables you are using, and you have declared undefined, but you are never using that. Got it? So you want to shrug up those warnings. What you can do, you can simply with one, you can enable or disable it. Clear with this? So Pragma is very useful. Alright. Continuing with miscellaneous directives or other directives. Okay. There are two operators. Okay. Apart from this, there are two operators in what do you say? In your they come under preprocessor. One is called this single hash. This is called stringizing operator. Okay, what it is called? Stringizing operator. It converts a token into a string. Very simple. If I write hello and put a hash before hello, hello will appear within double quotes. That means it is converted into a string. If I have 12, before that I put a hash will be within, 12 will be within double quotes. It is converted into a string. And that's the reason it is called stringizing operator. Have a look. Okay, look at that example. Hash defined name of hashes, and inside my program I am saying name hello world. What will happen? Hello world. Just for a second example, imagine in that example printf hello world within double quotes. Of course, in a printf within the bracket, you want to print a string, you need to put it within double quotes. So that is precisely what will happen over here. Automatically it will happen because of that conversion. When you are saying name hello world, that is the macro name of hashes, name hello world, hash hello world. So hello world will automatically have a pair of double quotations around. Alright, got this example? Okay. Now there is another operator which is again used in case of preprocessor, that is double hash. This is called concatenation or token pasting operator. You call it concatenation, or you can also call token pasting. Simple. What it does, if you write, suppose both the sides of double hash, you say ABC here, you say XYZ. The result will be ABC XYZ. It simply pastes the tokens together. Have a look at the example. Look at that. Hash define add x comma y should be converted as x double hash y. Now you have a variable ab there, and look at that printf statement within main function. You are saying add a comma b. What will be the conversion? Add a comma b, a double hash b. A double hash b will automatically be converted into ab, and that's how you get the result. Clear with this? I hope. Okay. Well, friends, apart from all this, again, continuing with other types of directives. In other types of directives, we have something called predefined macros. It's not a part of any directive, but yes, they can be directly used. Okay, there are some of them. Have a look at the list. Look at that list. It has date, time, line, file, stdc. Date gives you current date. Similarly, time gives you current time. Line will give you the current line which is being compiled. I repeat again, it will give you a current line, number of the current line which is getting compiled. File gives you the name of the file being compiled, and stdc is for standard C. And that simply means, standard C means, if your compiler is a standard C compiler which you are using, it will say yes for that. I mean, you can check, and based on that you can take some action. If it is a standard C compiler, else you can do some other action, or else you can take some other action. Okay, got that? Okay, now any one of those you can directly use. For example, in my program, if I say printf, percentile s, comma, double underscore, date, double underscore, it will give me today's date. Of course, finish of the bracket, finish of the semicolon. It gives me today's date. It shows me today's date. Got it? Clear? Let's have a look at how to use this. I have already told you the names. Let's look at this example, particular example. With printf statements, I'm just printing. Okay, I'm just printing the values. And look at that if def. Look at that if def. What it checks for, if it is a standard C implementation you are using. It gives a message saying standard C implementation, not as, otherwise it says not a standard C implementation. Okay, and date, time, line number, file name, all these things. So you're just trying to print. So, got it? Clear with that? All right. Okay. So now, we have discussed almost everything, every single type of preprocessor, and we have taken a couple of examples in each case. But I would suggest you go through the one that comes very frequently in tests and interviews is the one called macros. Got it? So you can get hundreds of examples on websites and from Google, various places. But as I have told you, you need to be careful while evaluating. Expand, then evaluate. This is what we have been talking about since part 1. So do that. Okay? Expand, then evaluate. Always. Alright? So what you do, pick up different types of examples related to macros, go through them, try to understand them, and wherever you have a problem, try to redo it again and again, unless and until you are clear how it works. Alright? So friends, this is preprocessor for you, one of the most interesting chapters in C language. Hope you got what I tried to drive home for you. Alright? Now, this with preprocessor, I get into languages as I had told you earlier. So now in next video also, we'll get into another chapter of C language. Till that time, take care all of you, and please, once again, my request is comments, likes. Of course, everybody wants likes. My case, I want comments from you. If there is any suggestion, you can give your suggestions, and please do share this video. Alright? Of course, I will not ask you to subscribe because you have already subscribed, but please tell your friends, tell your partners to please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.